It's the latest designer drug that's popping up around the country, and Carrie Jones is already on top of it. She's the coordinator of the SAW Coalition at the Office on Youth in Stanton. She teaches kids about the dangers of these drugs and says this new one may be much worse.
It is more deadly than bath salts, and more teens are getting their hands on it.
It's called Smiles, a name that Jones says appeals more to kids.
It doesn't sound like this is a synthetic drug and it's going to kill you. It sounds like a fun experiment.
But she says it's nothing to smile about. Some users posted videos of their experience on the drug on YouTube.
Fingers just dancing, fingers all over the place. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. And I keep doing it, I'll keep doing it.
I'm completely submerged into a psychedelic trip. I've never had this kind of experience before.
One of the biggest problems with synthetic drugs like Smiles is we don't know exactly what's in them. So how dangerous are they? A local substance abuse counselor says Smiles causes hallucinations, rapid heartbeat, and psychotic episodes. He says it's kind of like LSD and methamphetamine combined.
People are playing Russian roulette with their brains. They're taking drugs with unknown properties and unknown quantities, and that can have very bad effects, like death.
John Savitas helps people struggling with addiction. Lately, he's had a lot of patients who use bath salts, but he says it's only a matter of time when Smiles gets to the valley. That's because the internet allows for an easy access to the drug.
How to locate them, how to buy them even in bulk, and also how to manufacture them. So what we're seeing with a lot of the new drugs coming along is that people can make them in their own home.
It's the drug cycle that Mark Campbell is all too familiar with. He's the supervisor of the Rush Drug Task Force in Rockingham County.
We make a change on one chemical compound for K2 bath salts. They know where we're going, and all of a sudden the new chemical compound shows up, which is another synthetic drug. It's another synthetic psychedelic.
Another danger to the community. Campbell says luckily Smiles hasn't made its way to the valley yet.
We do have some overdose deaths. We have some deaths that these other states are dealing with, and hopefully it'll stay west of us, but just like the cycle, everything comes to us from the west, and we'll deal with it.
He says after dealing with a major bath salts drug problem in the valley, his force is ready to tackle Smiles. But he says the biggest issue with these new synthetic drugs is that they're made up of chemicals that may now be legal.
Because we just banned another 119, 120 chemicals as far as bath salts are concerned. So when the Smiles gains popularity and we start dealing with that, then yes, we're going to have to deal with some law changes.
Whether it's legal or illegal doesn't mean it's still not deadly. And one experiment with something like that could be your last experiment.
In Harrisonburg, Litsa Pappas, WHSV News 3.
I met with kids in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grades from Harrisonburg and Rockingham County. I asked them lots of questions about violence and Sandy Hook, and what they said may surprise you.
The shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary shocked everyone. That tragedy has now started a national conversation on violence. But how much do children understand from it all? I sat down with a group of young kids to find out.
Have any of you heard of Sandy Hook Elementary School in Connecticut?
There's a guy who went into a school who had mental issues. He had some mental problems and he wasn't really a people person. He shot some kids and a teacher and the principal.
At the young ages of 7 to 10 years old, they knew lots of details that were difficult for their parents to explain to them.
It was just, we were kind of at a loss for words. We didn't understand it any more than they did, and so how do you explain it to a child who you want to protect their innocence?
Some parents didn't explain it at all.
Julie and I did not have that conversation because I don't think she needs to know.
So how do you explain something so tragic and violent to kids? April Howard is the psychologist for Harrisonburg schools. She says for younger kids, use the most simple terms possible.
Please be a good listener and listen to what the children have to say and then answer the questions.
That's what these parents did, but some of the questions weren't so easy.
And the one I got stuck on was why. And I sat there. And so that's when I tried to get into, well, some people are, how people get sick with their bodies. Yes, well, some people have sickness in their head.
No matter how difficult it is, Howard says parents should find the time to talk about this because kids will find out regardless.
How did you guys find out about all that stuff?
None of us knew in the school. I mean, I'm sure the teachers knew, but they didn't tell the kids.
That didn't stop them from finding out.
I was watching CNN that was behind me, and my dad told me not to watch it. And then later that night on my iPod, I found out about it.
Plus, after the shooting at Sandy Hook, these kids started to notice some changes at school.
Our school now has a doorbell, and all the doors are locked. Now we have a greeter at our door.
All changes to keep them safe. They told me they now do more intruder safety drills too.
Our room was like this, and the door's right here, so we hide right here. And turn off all the lights, and we go inside the bathroom and duck our heads on the side of the wall.
Do you know why you do that?
In case someone who isn't a parent or something comes into the school with a weapon and tries to do something violent to the kids.
I asked them some other big questions to find out what they understand about violence. Depending on their ages, their answers were different.
Why do you guys think people use guns?
I understand for safety, if someone was about to hurt you with a gun, it would be okay to have one, or for hunting, but you just shouldn't have a gun if you're a person that wants to kill other people.
The younger ones, who are just 7 years old, had a different idea.
Sometimes when people are really mad, they try to kill the other people who they're fighting with. Well, I wrote a note because I was super, super mad at my sister. I said, I'll kill you by shooting your head off.
So you were just joking to your sister when you said that in the note, though?
No, I kind of really meant it that time.
Some of the parents were surprised by what their kids knew and didn't know.
Oh, wow.
That's why Howard says adults should talk to kids about violence.
Violence is not a way to handle personal problems. I think that is key for us to send that message to our children, and to learn constructive ways to deal with anger.
Howard says making sure kids feel safe at home and school is most important.
Are you guys ever afraid at school?
Mm-mm.
The answer all around was no. These kids feel safe at school.
So Mel, I found out that a lot of teachers and parents in the Valley did not explain Sandy Hook to their kids just because it was so difficult. That's why Howard says adults should talk to kids about violence so that they can explain to them how to deal with it.
No matter how old they are.
No matter how old they are, she says it doesn't depend on their age, it depends on the child, because every child has a different perception of things. That some children are a little bit more advanced depending on their age. So you really just have to know your child, and she says it's better to tell them yourself so you can explain it, because if they go to school, honestly, they're going to find out about it. You saw all the ways they found out about it. And she says if you have any trouble discussing this with your kids, there are plenty of counselors at all of the schools that can help you out.
Great report. Thank you, Litsa.